Hey you guys, it's Dave, and we have another Tableau and the Science of Fundraising issue, Geographic Giving Data. First, why Tableau and the Science of Fundraising? It's simple. I want to help make your fundraising data useful and solve simple problems without a great deal of effort, and introduce a new level of data awareness and analysis that is kind of hard when you rely on your CRM. Okay, so the issue is geographic giving data. About once a year for every nonprofit, you have to complete the tax forms, and they ask what is the number of donors for each state. And this does not have to be complicated at all for your data set if you do not have a data warehouse with this information, which I recommend you have. But if not, it's pretty easy. You just need some sort of export that includes the constituent or donor ID, the gift ID, the gift amount, the gift date, maybe a few years worth too. It doesn't have to be just the year you're talking about, because with multiple years, it's then fun to do a little bit of analysis. I'll show one quick example of that. And then you also need the state and the country, or at least filter your data for just the United States, donors in the United States. Can you do this in Excel? Pretty simply, yes, you can. All you really have to do is put the state in the pivot table in rows, date in columns, and then drag the donor IDs to the calculation pane. And when you're done, it would look something like this. I've got my states here, not filtered for country completely, by the way. And I have my years up here. And then this is what it looks like analyzing it over the long haul. This is about 20 years worth of giving. Let's take it a step further though. We're going to make what we just saw in Excel, but we're going to do it in Tableau. And something that I'm going to add, I don't really have to do this for this part, but just for a little bit later in our demonstration, I'm going to need this, and I'm just going to call this donors. It's going to be the number of donors. Count distinct for my constituent ID. So my number of donors is equal to the distinct count of donor IDs or constituent IDs. And I'm just going to throw that in there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and drag first my country. I'm going to filter this just for the United States. And I'm going to drag my state to rows, and I'm going to drag my donors over to my calculation, and this is it. But this is for all time. If I want to see what it looks like over time, I would drag date, gift date up here, and now I have the exact same thing that I was just looking at on the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so this is simple and to the point. Maybe in this case, all that was needed was the last couple of years, or maybe even the last year. You can make a filter for that, and now you've got it just for the most recent year. Or maybe for the purpose of comparison's sake, you want to look at it in sum. Okay, this is kind of cool, but it's difficult to get exactly the big picture here. And one thing that you can do to maybe make this a little bit clear is to make this into something of a comparison map. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to a new sheet, and I'm going to take state data and I'm going to drag it over there, and I'm going to change this from being marks to fill in, And you can already see, okay, this is a world map. What it's showing though is data from other countries. I've got some Canadian provinces in here, some Australian states. And so I need to filter again by country. And I want to make this just the United States. Click apply. And okay, this is what it looks like for just the United States. And I could put in my number of donors to label. And it tells me again, all my donors, again though, this is over time. This is 20 years worth. And if you wanted to see just the current year's worth, you would put in, again, just 2024. And it would tell you, most states are represented. We're missing South Dakota, we're missing Mississippi, and we're missing, looks like Vermont, and then Maine. But for the rest of it, it looks like the United States are mostly represented. Okay, that's kind of cool. But what would be interesting to see is how this looks compared to last year. That is, did I gain or did I lose? We can do this by using a sheet. And we can go to gift date. We can pull just, let's say, the last 2 years. And then I need a calculation. I need to be able to say if the number in 2024 column is higher than the number in the 2023 column, that's an increase. If it's less than the number, that's a decrease, or if it is the same. Okay, so I've already got that worked out in a calculated field here, and I'm going to copy this and move it over to create a calculated field, and I'm just going to call this donors increase or decrease. And it says literally what I just said. If the number of donors is greater than the lookup, this is like looking up, meaning in the previous year, -1, that tells you how many years to go back, then increase. Else if donors in the -1 year are less than, that's a decrease, otherwise no change. Okay, so let's go ahead and click OK. And what happens with this? Well, let's drag it to color and see what happens. So the column we're concerned about here is 2024, and we see some of the colors. I'm going to change these. I don't like the colors that they're using here. I am going to change decrease to red. I'm going to change increase to green, and no change will be yellow. And then looking at 2024, we see, okay, that looks interesting. In a list, it's a little bit hard to see some of the colors. What's another way you could do this? Let's make it a map, a fill map. And I am going to hide the 2023 map just for 2024. And I'm going to drag the donors increase or decrease to color. And this is what it looks like. So I see in my, I need to change my colors one more time. Let's change that to no change will be yellow, decrease will be red, and increase will be green. Okay, so now what I see is I've got a lot of red here, and that's not great. A little bit of green, even less of yellow, but right away at a glance, I can see how many states are gaining in the number of donors and how many are losing in the number of donors, and I can make a good one glance at how this is looking across the country. This is one reason I like Tableau. You can do these sorts of visuals with very little effort, and it gives you a quick estimation of what's happening without looking at every row, every column, every number, and trying to figure out what's happening. Okay, that is it for this time. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.